I think that local newsletters are currently one of the best businesses for beginner entrepreneurs or even seasoned entrepreneurs to start in 2025. Now, I've personally built my own local newsletter to almost 10,000 subscribers now, and I'm confident that you can do the same. So in today's video, I'm going to be walking through the top 5 reasons why I think local newsletters are a great business right now and why you should own one. And I also got a 6th bonus reason, so make sure that you stick around for that because I think it's something that not a lot of people really think about. So let's jump into the screen here. Okay, so local newsletters, they're extremely simple. They're essentially just a newsletter for locals in your area. So this is best started when it's the town that you actually live in so that you actually know what's going on and how locals think. But this is just an email that you send out once a week, twice a week, even daily to people in your town with things that are going on, recent updates, really anything that you can think of that locals would be interested in that are exclusive to your town, you can put in a local newsletter. So the first reason why I think that local newsletters are great is because anyone can start one. Like all you need to know how to do is start up a newsletter, which is just going to beehive.com and starting a new newsletter. You can write the newsletter, right? You don't have to be a genius to write the newsletter. AI can definitely help you now. I wouldn't recommend leaning on AI for everything just because, it sounds like AI, but if you can write in a document, you can write a newsletter. And then all you have to do is find subscribers, right? Find subscribers, find people in your area that would be interested in getting an email with things going on in your town. And you've got yourself a local newsletter. It's just a few ingredients there. So all you have to do is go to beehive.com and then Facebook and Instagram, open up those social accounts, start posting content, get people on your list, and you've got yourself a local newsletter. The only investment that you're going to need is your time and potentially money that you're going to spend on Beehive, the sending software, and then ads to grow it, right? So newsletters are often grown with Facebook ads or Instagram ads. So if you want to grow your local newsletter with ads, you can definitely do that. It's like throwing gasoline on the fire, but there's other ways to do it as well. I grew my first 500 or 600 subscribers through local Facebook groups and Reddit groups. So you can definitely grow organically, but growing with Facebook ads is a lot quicker. It's just you got to spend money on it. And then the last one is really the only way that you can fail with this business is by quitting, right? If you just send an email every single week or even take a week off, like how are you going to fail? Like if you're not spending any money, all you're really putting in is your time. And so you can just run this business until you start making money, unless, you have other opportunities and you end up giving up. So like most businesses, as long as you can stay in the game, the only way that you can fail is by quitting. So the next one here is this business model is extremely simple. Like I've gone over in the last couple ones. All you're doing is getting people in your town to subscribe. So it's essentially just an email that you send out once a week or twice a week, and you just need to get people to subscribe. And then you make money by selling ads to local businesses, right? So local businesses that would normally spend money on Google ads or Facebook ads or ads on the TV or in local magazines, at the grocery store, really anywhere that a local business would normally advertise, those businesses are going to be your customers. So you're going to go to them and say, hey, I have 10,000 people that read my local newsletter every single week. And instead of spending $1,000 on that billboard that you're going to, what if I could just put your logo, your brand, your offer, a direct link to your website in my newsletter and put it in front of 10,000 locals every single week? That sounds like a better use of funds to me, but you have to go out and sell that, right? So the business model is extremely simple. I'm not saying it's extremely easy, right? In theory, it's easy, but it does take a bit of work. But the actual business model is very simple. You're just getting eyeballs, and then you're selling that attention to local businesses. Next one is that you have clear customers, right? So with the local newsletter, it's not like you're saying like we target vice presidents of finance in banks that do over $100 million a year. With this one, no, like your readers are anyone that lives in your town and is interested in reading a local newsletter. And your customers that are actually going to buy your ad inventory is going to be local businesses, right? So you can literally go knock on the doors of your customers every single day and say, hey, do you want to advertise in my newsletter? It's not rocket science here. It's clear who your customers are, who your audience is, and there's not a ton to figure out here. Now, number 4 is the limited competition. So when you start a business, anytime that targets, people globally or in the United States or even just in your state, you're competing with a lot of different entrepreneurs, right? So if you start a finance media company, you're not just competing with a few people, the smartest people in your town. You're competing with the smartest finance media people in the entire world, right? So the competition is way more fierce. And I don't know about you, but I would much rather compete against, the top 2 other media people in my town as opposed to the top media founders in the entire United States or in the entire world. So that's why I love local newsletters, right? You're literally competing against other people in your town, which is very much limited, especially if you live in a smaller town that, isn't like really technology savvy. So like if you live in New York City or San Francisco or Miami, yes, your competition is probably going to be a little bit more tech savvy. But if you live in like East Bum, Louisiana, the competition probably isn't, into all the same social media and newsletters and basically the media world as you could be, right? So you're definitely competing with a different sort of caliber of entrepreneur, which I really like. Number 5 is the ability to influence locally. And yes, this sounds a bit arrogant, but it's true. You can essentially almost become like a celebrity in your own town, right? So if you control the narrative and the news and where people get their information, that's a lot of power. So even with my local newsletter, I've spoken to people that didn't even know that I owned it. And they're like, oh yeah, I actually plan my weekend around the things that I see in your newsletter. So you literally have the ability to influence people in what they do, send them to different events, put different information in front of them. That's a lot of power. It's the same reason why, Bezos bought the Washington Post and Elon bought Twitter, because when you control the media, you control the narrative. So having literally that channel built out to have that presence in your local area comes with a lot of power. And traditional media is dying, especially local media. So like, when's the last time you went to your local newspaper to figure out what's going on in your town? You probably went on Instagram, which is a great part of the local newsletter as well. If you have a local newsletter, you should also launch a local Instagram. But when's the last time you went to a local newspaper or magazine or even the local news to really figure out what's going on, unless it's a big news story? But if you're trying to figure out what to do this weekend, you probably see something on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter. So you're not going to your newspaper and being like, what are the current events this week, or what's up, what's there to do this weekend? You're not getting your information like that. And that's where sort of local newsletters can fill that void. So people are waiting or looking for things to do, and you can show up in their inbox where they're already reading every single day. And on top of all of that, local media is dying because these traditional models just don't work, right? So in order to run a local newspaper or magazine, they have to have a staff of 10 writers and a bunch of ad salespeople. And if they're just not getting that attention, they can't support all of those different employees. So if you're running a local newsletter and it's just you writing it, it's you doing the Facebook ads, and it's you doing the sales, how are they going to compete with a team of, 20 people versus one when you have zero overhead? They have, $1 million of salaries that they need to pay for every year. So just so much easier to compete with these local media models that are all dying out, and you're able to do it very nimbly, right? You're able to do it very cheaply with just yourself, a super small budget, and an email sending platform. So that's reason number 5. And reason number 6 here is something that I think is one of the coolest parts of having a local newsletter and basically having influence over your town and owning that distribution channel. But I don't want it to, distract you, right? So the local newsletter needs to get off the ground. You need to figure out that part. But my number 6 reason is to use it as a launching pad. So to use it as a launching pad for other local businesses. So if you already own a local business, or if you want to launch a local business and you own the distribution, imagine if you owned your local newspaper that you'd normally pay to advertise in. All of those advertisements would be completely free, right? That's not a cost for you anymore. It's just something that you own. So if you have this distribution and you're selling ads to, let's say, a roofing company or a fencing company or a power washing company, and they're getting a bunch of leads, you could just launch one of those businesses yourself and own that entire business and, the full lead generation strategy. So I don't want you to get distracted and be like, okay, as soon as I launch a local newsletter, I should also launch a local 5K and also launch a pest control company and a fencing company. I think you need to figure out a local newsletter first, but then the options are endless, right? You could even partner up with someone locally and say, hey, I'm going to figure out distribution. I want 20% of this fencing company that we're going to start, and I'm just going to send you leads. You're going to fulfill them. You're going to figure out everything else. I'm going to take 20% for sending you all the leads, doing all the marketing, and basically, giving the business new clients. So I think that's one of the most underrated ways to operate a local newsletter. And if you already own a local business, and let's say you're spending $3,000 to $5,000 a month on local ads running on like the local radio or the TV or magazines, like you could spend that same money and actually own the local newsletter and own that distribution yourself. And then you could have an ad in that local newsletter every single week or every single day if you send it out daily, and you could own that for the rest of your life. So I just think it's, a build sort of once situation and own forever. So that is a wrap on the 5 reasons, but actually 6 reasons why I think you should own a local newsletter. If you need any help setting up your local newsletter, or if you're looking for someone to start it and run it for you, feel free to reach out. My email will be in the description, and let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about local newsletters, and let me know what else you want to learn about in the world of newsletters. So that's it. Appreciate you, and peace.